In today's video, we have a brand new series. We're going to focus in on AZAMI and look at some of the best AZAMI spots on every ranked map, starting with Clubhouse. Now, before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what's the next map you'd like to see, and the one with the most likes will be the next map in the series. So don't be talking anymore, let's dive in and get started. So this first setup takes us into the garage on the second floor rafters. Now the normal way to do this is everyone places keeper barriers in the middle of those openings on 90 or 1 and or 2 to protect from anyone trying to push in that doorway, and you can use those barriers for cover. Now what I like to do is on the right hand side instead of in the center, I put the keeper barrier and you'll be able to get a small pixel angle onto the door down below. Now it's consistent every time as long as you place the barrier exactly where I pinpointed, and you can do this on every opening on the top of rafters, and you can have multiple people using them as really strong angles to stop that push into garage. You can see with every single placement that I'm getting that little pixel angle, and even this one just around the corner of R90, you can get it onto the door and onto the staircase as they're making their push into the building. So these are really strong keeper barriers, and obviously you can still use the old way to give you full protection up there, but I feel like those extra little angles could really give you that edge over the attackers. So this next one is for when they get the wall open and you have those head holes. Just by simply placing a keeper barrier on the bottom of that soft wall, that will give you that extra protection so that when they're trying to pre-fire into that R90, you have the protection of the barrier and you can pop up and down and pick them off. Now what this does if you place it in the center is it leaves a small little gap on the bottom left of the wall that you can use if they do try to push in and get that plant down, and they may not realize that you're still in R90, and you can pick them off as they're planting the diffuser. Now this next keeper barrier is just a spot located inside the stockroom on the first floor. It's one of my favorite spots and it works so many times. So if you just shoot out those containers against that back wall and then place a keeper barrier on the wheel of the red dolly, you'll be able to vault over the barrier up on top of the containers. You can then drop down in behind these containers and you are a literal ghost for anyone trying to push into the stockroom. They will not drone you out. I can guarantee you that. I've had almost 100% success rate of anyone pushing into stockroom, and you'll be able to get an easy pick in the round. Now this next setup takes us down into the arsenal room inside the basement. This is a really strong setup to really give yourself that power position over the attackers as they make their way down towards the site. Now you can place a keeper barrier on that beam to protect yourself from the hatch. A lot of people know about this one, but it's such a strong one to protect yourself when you're sitting behind those crates. Now this next one is a really strong one for watching anyone coming down blue. If you place a keeper barrier right on the handle of the lockers, it leaves a small gap on the right side and on the bottom right side where you can get picks on them as they're coming down that hallway. It's a really strong barrier, so I'd advise you to try this one out as well. It gives you a really strong power position as they're making their way towards the site. Now the next one, pretty straightforward. On the crates, you can place one on the side of it to stop them from getting any peeks as they swing from that main door at the bottom of the staircase. For this last one, this is a really cool one, and I've tried this a few times and it does work. They will not expect it. If you stand up on top of the counter here and make some punch holes in that shelving unit, you can actually place a keeper barrier on the shelf and then vault up on top of it again, and you'll get a small angle through the cabinet all the way towards blue. With someone else sitting below you on the other keeper barrier, you have such a strong position and they have no chance of making their way into the site from blue. Moving on upstairs into cash room, just a couple of simple barriers to help you in controlling in this cash room site. If you place a keyboard barrier on the table right where I've pinpointed, leaving the chair on the right, it makes a small gap because the chair is still there, and you can use that to protect the rotate of anyone coming through construction, but it also leaves a small gap for an angle through towards the doorway. Now this next one is really straightforward, but it just stops anyone coming towards that window of CC and trying to get any of the utility off that wall. Just placing a barrier on the side of the bomb will give that protection to a bandit who's bandit tricking or any utility on the wall temporarily, and it will make them use utility and waste utility while trying to get the wall open. Moving back down into the basement level, and this is a small setup for church. Now this is a typical keyboard barrier here to protect that rotate, really a strong position for it so that when they're pushing down through Moto, you can hold them off and they won't be able to get picks on you coming through the rotate. Now this next one is over by the little mini bar. If you shoot everything off of it, you can vault up on top of it, and by making a hole in the top of the wall, you'll be able to see onto that secret stairs in the top of the wall. Now what you can do is by placing a keyboard barrier on the side of the fridge, this will give you a really strong power position to watch anyone coming down that staircase with the protection of the keyboard barrier. Now this last barrier is just a really simple, straightforward one for protecting that hallway and still being able to peek the door and pick anyone off as they made their way down the main stairs towards the doorway. You just place it on the bottom right of where those beer boxes are, and you can pick them off as they try to make that push towards that Moto door. Now this next one is for the bedroom upstairs. This is more of like a little spot that you can do by breaking the TV. You can jump up on the counter, and right where that bike frame is, you can sit up next to it and place a keyboard barrier on the side of the bomb. And because you're up here, you can use the chassis to place that barrier and protect yourself of anyone opening that window, and you can pop up and pick them off. So that was just some of a collection of the best AZAMI spots that you can use on Clubhouse. Now, like I said at the start of the video, drop down into the comment section and let me know what the next map you'd like to see. And of course, the one with the top likes will be the one next in the series. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when we upload our next video. And of course, if you haven't got your hands on any of the Elevate skins, the most recent one being the Maverick Elevate bundle, make sure to check it out in the R6 shop. It is available. And by just having that Maverick bundle on, I can guarantee you're going to get more picks. You're going to feel good doing it. So go check it out. And until next time, I'll talk to you in the next one.